films, cassettes. Gosh, I miss those times, man.
Alright lads, at the end of World War II, the Americans had a shitload of military equipment just lying around, most of which was old and no longer really deemed useful. From the end of World War II in 1945, right up until 1949, the Chinese Civil War was raging on. Many of the American M18 Hellcats were shipped to China to fight on the Republican side, or the non-communists. However, as many of you know, sadly, the Republicans actually lost the Chinese Civil War and were forced onto the island of Taiwan. This is why the modern day island of Taiwan is also called the Republic of China. But the People's Republic of China, which is basically what everyone just calls China now, gets incredibly butthurt when you call Taiwan the Republic of China. Anyway guys, hope you caught up with all that. It's quite complex going through all the naming systems for the Chinese shit, but the geopolitics is even more complicated. Anyway, back to the tank. This is the M64. In the mid 1970s, all those tanks that were sent to Taiwan were starting to be decommissioned. Many of these were M18 Hellcats. The Taiwanese had an idea. Let's buy up some more American order hardware, namely the chassis of the M42 Duster. The M42s were shipped to Taiwan, and the old M18 turrets were placed on the M42 Duster chassis. And boom, that's how we get the M64. In War Thunder, this is located in the Chinese tech tree, in rank 3, at a battle rating of 5.7. You'll unlock this vehicle by participating in the ongoing battle pass, reaching level 51, and it is also a free reward. So you do not have to pay the 2,000 golden eagles to get into the battle pass. To put this vehicle in your lineup, it's going to cost you 10,000 silver lions. In terms of the repair, it's going to cost you 1,160 silver lions. And going on to the rewards, with a premium account and playing realistic battles, you can expect an RP modifier of 462% and a silver lion modifier of 390%. In terms of customization, you have free camouflage available for golden eagles, but none on the Guardian marketplace yet. So lads, is this bargain bucket M18 Hellcat really worth it? Well, it does have a good gun, and it is a premium. But if you'd like to know more, stick around for the rest of the video. When it comes to performance, the M18 is naturally the best thing to compare this tank to. The M64 is powered by an engine producing 500 horsepower, and it weighs 24 tons. It can travel at a maximum speed of 72 km per hour and 18.8 km per hour in reverse. The tank is physically bigger and weighs more than the M18 Hellcat, but it does have a better powered engine. In my opinion, both tanks feel the same in terms of acceleration and manoeuvrability, but I would say the M18 Hellcat is a little bit more agile, due to it being smaller and a little bit shorter, giving it a better turning rate. But around the battle rating of 5.7, you're still probably faster than most of your competitors. So whatever you can do in the M18, you can pretty much do it in the M64. So the M64 is pretty fast, just like the Hellcat, but also like the Hellcat, it's got absolutely dog shit armor protection. But before we get to that, this tank has a crew of 5 men, a driver and a co-driver in the hull of the vehicle, and then a commander, gunner and loader in the turret. While the M64 is larger than the M18, it is still quite a small vehicle compared to some of the other tanks on War Thunder's battlefields. So in all likelihood, a single penetrating round is going to kill all the crew in one shot. Another issue with this tank is that it is an open top, just like the M18. And with the recent changes to high explosive shells, basically what people call the overpressure mechanic, means it is very easy to knock out the crew members in your turret. You're also incredibly vulnerable to strafing from aeroplanes, as well as from artillery fire. So naturally don't try to brawl in this vehicle. But what about the actual protection itself? The lower frontal plate offers around 44mm of protection, and the upper frontal plate is even worse, but only around 15mm. Again, it's worth pointing out, the M42 Duster was an anti-aircraft gun. It wasn't designed to be shot at itself, so the armour on this tank is absolutely dog shit, even worse than the M18. Seeing as the M64 uses the Hellcat's turret, it of course has the same armour values as the Hellcat, with 22mm of armour on the frontal plate of the turret. Again, the side of the hull is only 13mm thick, and the side of the turret is 14mm thick. So if you're side on to any American vehicle in this tank, or some of the bigger Russian vehicles, 50 caliber rounds will rip right through your armour. So at the minute, the M84 has the same strengths and weaknesses as the M18 Hellcat, which we already have in the Chinese tech tree. So So it's starting to look like the M64 is basically just an M18 Hellcat, with the same strengths and weaknesses. And it's the same thing with the gun. It uses the M1 76mm or 3-inch main cannon. You can only carry 25 rounds of ammunition though, which is pretty poor in my opinion. With a stock crew you can reload that gun every 8 seconds, and with an ace crew that drops down to 6.1 seconds. The gun itself has pretty good vertical guidance characteristics, with 20 degrees of gun elevation, but only 10 degrees of gun depression. Just like the Hellcat, the turret traverse is pretty mediocre, not as bad as the Jackson, but certainly not as good as some other tank destroyers. Seeing as this is a premium vehicle, we don't exactly have any stock shells, but your free round is the M62 Nuke Shell. This is by far the best choice of any of the shells you get, so there's not even really any point me covering any of these rounds. But I'll do it anyway. The M62 travels at 792 meters per second and contains 63.7 grams of TNT filler. This doesn't sound like much, but it's quite large for this low battle rating. And if you've ever played the M18 Hellcat, you know that you pretty much one-shot anything you manage to penetrate. Speaking of which, at a range of 500 meters, this round can punch through 133mm of armour. This doesn't sound that impressive, but if you get on the flanks of pretty much any German tank, you can easily punch through it. And while you can't get through the upper frontal plate of a Panther, you can easily go right through the front of the turret. You then also have a high explosive round, which is pretty much a meme. Don't use high explosive in any vehicle. You then have the M79, which is a solid shot armor piercing. There's no reason to use this whatsoever. You have the M93 shot, which is an armor piercing composite rigid. This has more penetration. At 500 meters, it has 167mm of pen. It also travels faster at 1036 meters per second. APCR rounds are just a complete meme at the minute. They used to be incredibly strong in the game, but then they nerfed them into the ground, so don't even bother taking them. And then finally, we have the M88 Smoke Shell. You can take a few of these if you'd like. Being such a low battle rating vehicle, you obviously don't have smoke discharges. They have a radius of 13 meters and a hold time of 20 seconds. I don't really use smoke shells myself personally, but hey ho, a lot of people do use them. Apart from the 3-inch main gun, we also have a coaxially mounted rifle caliber machine gun, as well as a pintle mounted 50 caliber machine gun operated by the commander. So lads, that's it, we've gone over everything. Is it worth getting? Well, it's free, so why not? It basically just is an M18 Hellcat in performance. The only difference is the way it looks, basically. Considering all we know about War Thunder, I'm impressed that Guardian didn't just use the M18 performance and just put a different actual model over the top of it. The only difference, apart from being a little bit bigger in the engine, is this thing has a coaxially mounted rifle caliber machine gun. I don't think the M18 does have that. So you do have an extra Browning machine gun, so you get to distribute some freedom a little bit more effectively. But yeah lads, the tank is free, you just have to get to level 51 of the battle pass. I wouldn't say this tank is amazing by any means. It's not something I'd suggest people rush out and grind towards. It's a nice little rank 3 premium though. China does have a very strong 5.7 lineup with the M18 and the T34s, so it should be a nice little grinder if you do get it. They also have a 5.7 premium T34, so you can have a pretty strong lineup with 2 premiums in there as well. I'd say that this is one of the better vehicles though from this battle rating season, or battle pass season, sorry. The last battle season was pretty shit in my opinion, but this is actually pretty good. But anyway lads, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching. If you did like it, do please leave a comment and a subscription, I guess, yeah. Subscribe if you want to see more. Give me an upvote if you liked it, a downvote if you didn't. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, and remember, Taiwan is the real China.